Yo, what's up? I'm Elder Sarah, and welcome back to my channel where I like to talk about all things spooky, scary, and have a little bit of fun. Today on the channel, we're going to be talking about Bray Wyatt, the Wyatt SICKS, the Fiend, the Firefly Funhouse, and everything that there has to do with the Wyatt family's lore. Tell me, what happens when two mega cultural superpowers collide on a cold, spooky night? Well, we'll find out this fall when HHN and WWE team up in the fog. It was announced that WWE would be joining Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios, with articles stating that WWE is stepping into spooky season in a major way, with reports of a major crossover with one of the most iconic horror attractions in the United States. According to Fightful Select, WWE is planning a full integration into Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights later this year, with an official announcement being expected by the end of the month for the collaboration that has reportedly been in development since late 2024. It's written that Halloween Horror Nights is a major fall attraction known for its haunted houses, scare zones, and immersive walkthrough experiences. WWE is no stranger to chills and scares, with horrifying superstars such as The Undertaker, the Wyatt SICKS, Kane, and many more. With WWE diving deeper into the eerie and macabre this fall, fans can expect more than just slams and suplexes. They're in for scream-worthy moments in the dark. This move marks yet another step in WWE's expanding crossover ventures under the TKO Group Holdings banner. Partnering with Universal for Halloween Horror Nights further reflects WWE's strategy to place itself within broader pop culture and entertainment spaces, appealing to fans well beyond the squared circle. The man, the myth, the legend Bray Wyatt will be joining the likes of Jason Voorhees, Art the Clown, Five Nights at Freddy's, and Fallout over at Halloween Horror Nights this year, with them all getting their own haunted houses. In honor of this awesome news, I thought that it would be a great idea to deep dive on this channel into the lore of the character Bray Wyatt. Now, I'm not going to bore any of the wrestling fans or normies alike with all of the great details of the wins and losses over this guy's career. No, we're going to be discussing the lore of the character here. This isn't about his in-ring career, this is about the character of Bray Wyatt. We're going to discuss how he evolved from Husky Harris to Bray Wyatt to the Fiend, eventually finding our way around to and explaining the whole Uncle Howdy and Wyatt SICKS thing that we've got currently going on in the WWE in his memoriam. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, putting this whole video together was pretty hard. It takes a lot to go through all of these years and years of wrestling footage, promos, and deciphering exactly what was going through the mind of this guy. I found this post over on Reddit that really helped me sift through a lot of these crucial details, so definitely shouts out to this guy, credit where it's due. I'm not going to be reciting this guy's post verbatim or anything like that, but for sure, thank you for the notes. Also, one more thing before we get into this whole deep dive here, I'm not going to be using any footage that's owned by the WWE because they will immediately block, strike, and take down my video. I've had it happen before. I've tried to use clips in other Horror Night speculation videos that show WWE footage and they just do not want you to use it. So instead, we're going to do like I do for movies that come out over here on the channel, and we're going to be using a lot of screenshots to explain things. But worry not, I spent a lot of time sourcing all these out, so it shouldn't be too boring for you. Anyway, without further ado, let's just jump into it and analyze exactly why the name Bray Wyatt strikes fear into the hearts of WWE fans. Who is Bray Wyatt? What is the Wyatt SICKS? And how does this wrestling guy fit into Halloween Horror Nights? The fictional character Bray Wyatt grew up in South Central Louisiana. Much of his past is unknown, but one major detail of Bray's life stands out. He killed his parents in a boating accident. Around this time, Bray seems to have encountered the evil and supernatural Sister Abigail, a demon inhabiting the body of a woman. Bray and his surviving family members were rescued by Abigail, who proceeded to shape Bray's worldview by teaching him everything he knows. Bray and his family were taken to a secluded cabin and told to watch out for the man in the woods. Of course, Bray would eventually encounter the man in the woods on a rabbit hunting excursion. The man was 7 feet tall, had pale white skin, yellow eyes, thin blonde hairs that reached down to his legs, and was dragging an alligator behind him. The man kindly offered Bray a slingshot, but the scared boy fled back to the house. Here, finding Sister Abigail, he cries that he saw the man, only for Abigail to tell him that he himself is the man in the woods. Sometime later, Sister Abigail passes away. Through Bray's worship of her, he would become inspired to pass on her messages to others. To do this, he began a cult in her honor and christened it as the Wyatt family. At this point in time, there are 3 majorly iconic symbols of power for Bray Wyatt: his lantern, his rocking chair, and his compound. These 3 objects all connect Bray to Sister Abigail in some way or another. The compound where the family lives serves as her grave. The rocking chair was the very same rocking chair she she used to cradle him in as a child, and the lantern was one that she would use to guide their way through the dark swamps. In 2012, Bray hilariously decides to do the only thing that makes sense here and tries his luck within the WWE in an attempt to get the message of Sister Abigail to a wider audience. He managed to indoctrinate the first son and second son, who would be known as Luke Harper and Eric Rowan respectively. These two were also very accomplished wrestlers, and they served as Wyatt's enforcers and cult-like followers. After attempting and failing to convince his actual real-life, not in-character brother Bo Dallas to join the family, and his followers had showcased their dominance by winning and defending the show's championships, Bray deemed WWE's developmental show NXT as too small a vehicle to transmit his message, so he took his family with him to the WWE's main roster. In 2013, the Wyatt family emerged on Raw, targeting another spooky wrestler you may know of, Kane, as his raw power and supernatural abilities would make for the perfect vehicle to show the world that the Wyatt family could overcome anything, including the supernatural monster. Bray would eliminate and injure Kane while announcing the teachings of Sister Abigail to the world. Over the years, the Wyatt family would rival so many legendary names across the wrestling industry, corrupting them and adding to their ranks. Over time, the faction would begin to fracture and crack, with Wyatt setting Eric and Luke free, while letting others in who would eventually betray him and burn down the very Wyatt compound to the ground, severing yet another connection between Wyatt and Sister Abigail. Bray would later return to the charred remains and allow Sister Abigail's powers to flow through him once more. Now back to where he started, Sister Abigail's spirit was still getting used to being within him. In this struggle for control, he unwittingly awoke a hidden side to another wrestler named Matt Hardy. This woken persona was a former foe of Sister Abigail, and their fated battle was known as the Great War, with the Woken representing light and Abigail representing darkness here. Now, with both spirits harboring new bodies, the two would clash. Bray deemed the Woken persona as a madman and promised to eliminate him, while the Woken persona demanded the deletion of Bray Wyatt. It all culminated in the ultimate deletion, where Woken Matt Hardy triumphed over Bray Wyatt at last. Matt placed Bray's body into the Lake of Reincarnation in hopes that it would be purged of the souls that possessed it, then recovered both Bray's vessel, purged of Bray and Abigail, as well as the lantern, the last symbol of the connection between Abigail and Bray. While the lantern was originally gifted to King Maxwell, Matt's son, Matt would instead use the lantern to reinstall Bray's consciousness into his body. This new Bray was seemingly purified. However, as fragile as Bray's mind was, he is now haunted by the ghosts and personalities that used to inhabit him. Unable to bear the pain of his tormented mind, Wyatt checks himself into a loony bin, desperate to cure himself. Through this time at the mental asylum, Bray seemingly was able to compartmentalize the voices that haunted his head. Each voice seemed to have personalities and directly correlated to some aspect of Bray. He proceeded to give them form, using the powers he had gained through his feud with The Undertaker so many years ago. Mercy the Buzzard represents aspects of Bray's past, namely his vindictive pleasure in hurting others as well as his belief that he is alone. Mercy's form is an indicator that Bray still believes in his mantra, follow the buzzards. And the name Mercy is taken from the wrestler Waylon Mercy, an old-timey wrestler who Bray is often compared to. Ramblin' Rabbit is another reflection of Bray's past, this time a reference to how he believed he could provide truth to others, mixed with his desire to help those in need. The name takes inspiration from one of the biggest points of criticism people had with Bray's message, that he was just a preacher who rambles on about nothing at all. Abigail the Witch is the remnants of what influence Sister Abigail had over Bray Wyatt. Assuming the form of a doll with black hair, her constant desire to sleep is a reference to Bray's inability to let her spirit go, despite her desire to leave this whole world behind. Huskus the Pig Boy is a reference to Husky Harris, the actual spirit that should control the vessel of Bray Wyatt. His form of a fat and gluttonous pig is representative of how Bray himself feels about the body that he possesses. Mr. McBossman is the only part of Bray's new voices that's not actually connected to Bray himself, rather is an exaggerated puppet that represents how Bray Wyatt views his boss, Vince McMahon, a ruthless, money-hungry demon. With all of the voices having now been separated from Bray's real personality, the personality that Woken Matt Hardy had freed, Bray himself was finally able to heal. Clearing the haze from Bray's soul and allowing him to be himself had unintentional consequences on Bray's mind. From all those years ago, the man in the woods was starting to free himself from the suppressed shackles within Bray's mind. Now unleashed, he began to adopt a voice of his own, and faced with Bray's failings throughout life, the voice clamored for one thing: revenge. The worst part of this voice was that Bray was completely unable to separate it from himself. This darkness was Bray, and it became an alter ego, just as distinct a personality as the other puppets, but impossibly stronger. It sought to hurt, it sought to heal. It was Bray's way of providing salvation for himself. The difference between this darkness and all of the other personas Bray had inside of him was that this darkness was completely under his control. He could use it, and the Fiend was born. Bray Wyatt finally left the asylum that he had stayed at and began to prepare his body for an in-ring return. Through his interactions with Matt Hardy and his dip into the lake of reincarnation, Bray had somehow acquired the power to alter the reality of the people that he fought. Bray intended to use this ability to its full effect, creating a sort of pseudo-reality that he dubbed the Firefly Funhouse. He used his magic to make this place like a Mr. Rogers-style kids show, and through this, he began to spread his new message: let him in. While Bray's original goal was to spread the teachings of Sister Abigail, this new Bray sought to become a social virus, spreading amongst the fans and bringing Bray new levels of notoriety. Bray's Firefly Funhouse quickly became extremely popular among fans, and Bray prepared to strike. He claimed to his fans that the Fiend was designed to protect them. This was false, as it was purely designed to protect him himself. But the question begs, who would revenge take first? With fear established in the hearts of those who stood in his way, Bray Wyatt started to work his way through the list of people he sought revenge on. Whenever the Fiend beats someone, he fundamentally alters them and reverts them to a warped version of their prime. It is also important to note that Bray only used the Fiend to get revenge on people, and would fight using his regular Funhouse Bray Wyatt form to face foes that he had no ill will towards. At WrestleMania in 2020, Wyatt would issue a challenge to the one and only John Cena in a Firefly Funhouse match. Manipulating reality for this match, Bray Wyatt got inside of the head of John Cena, forcing him to relive his greatest failures all at once in a match that was less of a fight and more of a brutal character assassination, one that also loudly railed against the very industry that was broadcasting it to the entire world. Upon the Fiend's return yet again, he made a new ally in Alexa Bliss, who would become something of his herald. With her by his side, the Fiend would pursue his final act of ultimate revenge, seeking to destroy the very man who burned down the Wyatt compound so many years ago. The Fiend struck, and the two old rivals had a feud that would make extreme use of fire in reference to the burning down of the old Wyatt compound. His opponent, Randy Orton, defeated the Fiend and set him ablaze, seemingly killing him and set him alight. However, Alexa would continue to haunt Randy Orton for the next few months, before the Fiend returned to bring their whole saga to a close. At WrestleMania, the Fiend lost to Randy Orton once again after being distracted by Alexa. Afterwards, she proclaimed that she no longer needed the Fiend to find her own success. Bray Wyatt and his Funhouse persona would return for the final time after this, stating that he was looking forward to a fresh start. Over a year later, mysterious QR codes began appearing on WWE programming, and arenas would mysteriously play the Jefferson Airplane song White Rabbit, with many fans scanning the codes and realizing that a full-blown ARG was playing out with the WWE programming. The clues led to the phrase, "Follow the White Rabbit, revel in what you are, and feed your head." Wyatt returned to the WWE after being fired, with real-life versions of all of his old Funhouse puppets now in tow. The Funhouse itself is now completely deserted and desolate, meaning it was gone. It turned out that Bray, despite his fractured mind, had gone and pieced himself together for good. The catalyst was unexpected. Bray Wyatt had become normal due to several tragedies that he had experienced in his real life, most notably of which was the sudden death of his friend Luke Harper, also formerly known as Brody Lee, who had become a cult leader just like Bray upon exiting the WWE for another promotion. Additionally, one of his childhood friends had also passed away suddenly, and Bray Wyatt began to lose himself here for good, become a hollow shell that his voices could not even speak to. However, someone had come up to Bray and said to him that Bray, through only his actions on screen, had actually managed to save his life. This revelation, as well as how fans had been begging for his return, pushed Bray to come clean. Exorcising all of his old demons, Bray Wyatt gave them form and unleashed them into the world, free of being tethered to him. He readied himself and prepared to reveal to the world what he truly was. Wyatt revealed that the reason he was still alive at all was that all of the fans, all of his fans, had moved him and pushed him to return. We all saved his life. However, this new entity, the ghost of the man that sold the world, the man in question actually being Bray Wyatt according to the ARG's clues from earlier, introduced himself as Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy, while appearing vague about it, wished to see Bray thrive again as the killer he used to be, while Bray himself only wished to go straight. It became clear that Bray's mind was fighting hard to keep Bray from losing total control and reverting back to what he used to be. A cordial conversation with new wrestler LA Knight quickly became sour when Bray was unable to control his anger at Knight's arrogant attitude. Bray began to spiral here, struck between his desperate desire to wipe his slate clean and his fury causing his old ways to return. Bray was not perfect in managing his emotions, inadvertently making the characters from the Firefly Funhouse return to him in a momentary lapse in control. Uncle Howdy would attack Bray on occasions, trying to draw out his power. After a moment where The Undertaker passed the torch to Bray Wyatt, Bray's first match back was slated to be the Royal Rumble 2023 against LA Knight. When the match ended, Bray, having finally given in to Howdy's demands, used Howdy to attack LA, where he and his puppets would watch on. After this, Wyatt promised to attack the champion at the upcoming PLE event. Instead, though, he would disappear from wrestling altogether, unbeknownst to us all, this time for good. Bray Wyatt, Uncle Howdy, Rambling Rabbit, Huskus the Pig Boy, Sister Abigail, Mercy the Buzzard, The Fiend, the Firefly Funhouse, the Wyatt family, and most importantly, Windham Rotunda passed away of complications stemming from heart issues. The buzzards that once flew in the sky heralding his arrival now rest their weary wings, and the fireflies whose hearts Bray Wyatt once touched have broken out of love for his monumental career. Or so we'd think. During dark segments of Raw and SmackDown, the song Nightbird would play, sparking speculation. During this time, various QR codes and occasional graphical glitches would appear on the screen. These QR codes would seemingly give hints about the return of Uncle Howdy, portrayed by Bray's real-life brother Bo Dallas, and the debuting of the Wyatt SICKS. On June 17th, 2024, the group finally made their horrifying debut, destroying the gorilla position and anyone who was in it, noticeably leaving Chad Gable with a large head wound. Members of this group would consist of now personified versions of all of Bray's former personas. Over the coming weeks, the group would target Gable, stalking and attacking him due to him being abusive towards his own friends. During this time, Nikki Cross, portraying Sister Abigail, would deliver VHS tapes to Michael Cole. These tapes containing therapy sessions with Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy set in the Firefly Funhouse, detailing his struggle with the grief of his brother passing away and his anger at false prophets using their families for their own gain. Other VHS tapes included the returning Eric Rowan, now portraying the Rambling Rabbit, mourning his real-life friends and former teammates, Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt, Dexter Loomis playing Mercy Buzzard, telling any opposition to run, Nikki Cross delving further into her own insanity, and finally, Joe Gacy portraying Bray's very first pre-Bray Wyatt persona, Husky Harris, seemingly dealing with the same hurt and heal struggle that Bray did before screaming, "Let us in." The group made their in-ring debut against Chad Gable and the Creed brothers on August 5th of 2024 in winning fashion. Uncle Howdy made his in-ring debut, defeating Chad Gable on August 26th, 2024. Since this, the faction has been on and off screen due to injuries and other complications, but the new faction has been extremely well received by fans worldwide. Well, now we are all up to date, aren't we? Whether you're a big fan of the WWE or you're just a Horror Nights fan looking for some kind of information on what to expect this year, whether you're somebody who's just spent the last 2 decades watching this guy wrestle, or if you're somebody brand new that just likes watching videos over on my channel, now you are an expert in all things Bray Wyatt, so you can go into these haunted houses later this year with full confidence of exactly what you're looking out for as far as Easter eggs and stuff like that goes. Your HHN homework for this haunted house has been completed. But regardless of what fandom brought you over here to my channel today, are you excited for this haunted house? If you're just a casual wrestling fan that knows nothing of Halloween Horror Nights and you don't even really live on the coast where these things are going on, do you think that this is enough to bring you out to the event this year? I mean, hey, it's going to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience after all. The Fireflies gotta march, don't they? If you are a wrestling fan, be sure to let me know in the comments down below what your favorite Bray Wyatt match was. Hey, even let me know what your least favorite Bray Wyatt match was. I know there's a lot of them out there. And for the the casuals, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that he was bad. This guy got done dirty a lot. That's kind of a story for a different day. At least now he's getting his chance to shine, huh? If you're a wrestling fan or if you just found out about Bray Wyatt from the video today, let me know what your favorite era that you're looking out for is. Is there something about the design of the Fiend that you find so interesting, or maybe were you more into the whole Bayou cult leader look? And also, regardless of what fandom brought you here, what would you like to see inside of this haunted house? What are some major staples that you've seen in this video or that you've seen from watching the program that you want to see featured inside of this haunted house? However you're feeling about it today, comment below and let me know. Also, if you enjoyed my video today, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content just like this. I've got hours and hours of awesome horror content over on the channel, so be sure to give that a browse. You'll probably find some other stuff in my catalog you enjoy. And if you really like it, be sure to send it over to a friend you think might like it too. As always, I've been Elder's Terror, and whether your day's been going good or bad today, I hope it gets better.